Welcome to Experts Explain Trauma. Today, Dr. Tammy joins us to answer a common question that survivors ask and to give us tips to help us on our healing journey. Here's the question. How do I explain my trauma to friends or partner without scaring them away?
That's a very big one. That's a
Yeah,
very,
that is
very
a
big
big
one.
one. It's a hard one.
And yeah, like I first want to reassure you that it's a brave thing to get to that point where we want to be able to talk about it. Because for so long, we've lived in it with a lot of shame, in silence. And so to get to that point where we feel like, I want to let this out, I just want you to know that that's very brave and that's very courageous. And one thing I want you to know is whatever feeling is coming up with this right now doesn't mean you're not being brave, because bravery does not look like fearlessness. And oftentimes
Yeah.
people think like, I'm not being brave. I'm not being brave. You are being brave. In this circumstance where you are thinking about it, even if it's just thinking about it, you are being brave. You're looking after yourself. You're wanting to tell your story. You're wanting to put voice to it. And in you doing that, you want a red carpet. You want it to be held quite preciously. You want it to, to be protected. And I think that's exactly what your story deserves. That's exactly what it deserves. Unfortunately, we can't control it. I don't want it to be disappointing in saying that you can't control how people react and respond to your story, but that does not invalidate your story. So that's the one thing that you need to know. How they respond, if it's underwhelming, if it brings back threat, that has absolutely nothing to do with you. But I think it's very, very brave. It's very courageous when we feel ready to tell people. I think it's important for us to be able to think about this question. Maybe, if you have someone, maybe a therapist, to think about this with them, in guiding you in terms of what do you want them to know? What are you looking for from them? Because I think this helps just cushion it up, because oftentimes with our story, like our wounded part, they're so fragile, they're so vulnerable, they're so, that's strength. And they need that holding, that safe space, that someone who can carry these stories with care. And one of the things that happen, and I'm telling you this, from my experience, as well as being a therapist who work day in, day out with trauma survivors, is we can't control how other people meet our story. We can't control, how they care for it, how they look after it, how they respond to it. So if you have a therapist, it's very important to sort of have that dialogue with them, in terms of what you're going to get from it. If your partner or your friend, if they are people that you trust, if they are people that you would say, like, I've received care, my nervous system feels safe with them, it might be useful for you to let them know how you're feeling. I want to tell you something, and this matters to me. This is really difficult for me. This is really difficult for me to share. This is what I'm needing from you. I want you to listen to it. It might be, I don't know what is going to stir up for you, but I want you, it's very, very important that you, in the present, you're protecting your wounded part. So you're dictating, this is what this part of me needs right now. I just want you to listen. Because very often people would hear it and they want to problem solve, they want to protect us. There's so much going on for them, right? It might stir up something, it might shut them down. We don't know what other people are going through. We don't know what they've experienced. So say, for example, if you're disclosing, sexual abuse, or you don't know, and so we don't know what the reaction would be. So we prepare people, but we can only prepare. We can't control how it's received. And that does not invalidate what you are sharing. And that's very, very important for you to know, however you come away from it, that it doesn't invalidate your story. Because a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma, a lot of experiences that have caused trauma already rendered you powerless and helpless. A lot of experiences that caused your trauma invalidated you. So we very easily wear that mindset of invalidating our own experiences anyway. So the doubt is very, very active in our mind. So if someone doesn't take it as we would, if someone doesn't care for our story the way we want it to be cared for, that sort of kind of like invalidation lens get triggered in our mind. And it's not about whether it's right or wrong. What you feel is what you feel. What you feel is what you feel, and that's what you should always trust. Your story is your story. It's not up for debate. So I would say, first of all, think about what is it that I'm wanting from this person. If they are a friend, well, first of all, like, is there someone that I can sort of kind of like discuss this with? If there's a therapist, if there's a mentor, a coach, someone you trust, and you say, I'm going to tell my partner about this. I want to just sort of kind of pass this by you, and they can sort of help you reflect. So this is something that I've done with my client. What do you want them to know? How do you want them to react? Why is this so important for you to tell them now? You know, we talk about sort of kind of like what type of person are they, and, you know, how do we can sort of kind of work with how do you disclose this. So yeah, if you have that, if you don't have that, however, you know, you can let them know, this is something I want to tell you. I don't know how you're going to respond, but this is what I need from you. You know, I need you to hold me after I've said it. I need you to hold my hand. I need you to listen. You know, I need you to just sit with me. We can ask them if they are safe people. What I would say is, if you don't feel safe with someone, maybe it's not. Don't. We have to be very protective. And this is one of, you know, like, we can't heal in isolation, and we need other people to help us heal. Our wounds are relational, and we need our relationship to help us heal. We need connection, we need belongingness, and we heal there. All of those are valid, but not everyone is safe with our story. If you don't feel safe with them, if you don't trust them, it may just not be useful for you. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that I need? Because what you need might not be that disclosure at that time. But if you do feel safe with them, if they are someone who you trust, if they are someone who makes your nervous system safe, and you say, this person is my person, you know, they deserve to know this part of me, they can heal with me, then I will let them know. And you know what? There are so many ways you can do this. You can text them. You can let them know. You can prepare in advance. What's the best way for you to communicate? Oftentimes we think communication is sitting down looking at people. Not everybody's there. I'm not one for like talking about really heavy stuff, you know, with my close people, with my own partner. I rather, like, he knows that I like for us to text him. So I will text him if there's something, you know, huge that I need to tell him. And I'll say to him, I need you to just take time to digest it. And I need you, you know, to come back to me on this. I want you to take the lead on whatever I need. Like, I had to learn how to communicate my needs. And this is part of our healing, is learning how to communicate our need. So you are the president here. You are the CEO here. You are in charge. Your story matters. It is exactly how you feel. Your feelings aren't lying. They might be intense. They might be messy. But what you feel, you feel. That's your data. It's not up for debate. Not even a therapist can debate that with you. You feel what you feel. All right. And so, you know, standing in that ground, standing in sort of kind of like your experience, standing in your story, you know yourself more than anybody. You are the boss of your life. And so no one can argue how you feel with you. No one can argue your story with you. And you're not asking them to do that. So also, as well as you're asking, this is what I need from you, this is what I don't need from you. That's very important, you know, especially when we have like people who they mean well. They're not expert. They're just coming from sort of, you know, what they know, you know, like, oh, you know, have you thought about talking to them? And if you know that that's your person, you just say, I don't want you to tell me what to do. I just want you to know. I just want to share this with you. I just want you to hold this for me. I just want you to, you know, like, ask me what I need. Maybe I don't even know what I need. And most of the time we don't know what we need when we're going through this. And that's okay. You know, I just want to tell you now, and we can think about my needs later, but have a think about it. Have a think about it. Give yourself time, you know, with all the fears, with all the any feelings that you're having alongside taking this courageous step. Is still courage, is still bravery. Bravery never looks like a catwalk, right? Bravery doesn't look like a catwalk. Bravery looks like jitteriness, you know, like heart pumping, pulse racing, right? That's still bravery. And that's a brave choice, to want to give voice to your story. And you can tell it however you want, however it feels right to you. That's what I would say.
So the first thing that you're recommending that they do is, if they have a therapist, to go over it with their therapist and kind of come up with a game plan. The other thing that was real important that you were saying is making sure that the person is a safe place for you. And if they're not a safe place, then maybe that's not the person that you need to share with.
Yeah.
And then figure out your communication style, right? Do you prefer face-to-face, or maybe you do need to text and let the person kind of meditate on it for a little bit? And then express what it is you do need and what it is you don't need, and then begin to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are very, very, very important. And I would go as far as saying, after you shared, like, also think for yourself, what is it that if you've sort of rewritten the text, we're constantly nurturing our nervous system as it's sort of kind of going through this, like, I've sent that text now and I feel like I'm numb, or I've sent that text now and like I'm pacing around, like, always think about, what do you need? What does my system needs now? That's okay.
Yeah.
You're not going crazy. All of this, normal. Like, what do you need in the moment? What do you need? And just give yourself that. Like, if you're pacing, maybe you need to go for a walk. Maybe you need to, talk to someone. Like, you don't have to talk about what you've written. You just need to look after yourself through it. But this is brave. Just because you're going through all the motions, all the emotion, doesn't mean you're not being brave. You really are being brave in trying, in giving voice to your story, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tammy. This was very informative and a lot of confirmation for me as well. If this resonates with you, let us know in the comments, and make sure to follow for more insights on trauma healing.